Well, hello and welcome to Fun Fantasy FPL. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Barry.
Good delay there, Stephen. Nice, keep the suspense up. As you may notice, Stephen's background has changed, and so you're now up in the north. How is it
I'm
up
in the
there?
north of England.
Cold?
It's it's actually not that cold actually. But this is my childhood bedroom, which I couldn't be bothered painting since the age of 10. I did not think that anyone would see this room other than myself and my family. Did not predict a global pandemic, so now all my colleagues know me as the man in the blue room, and now all of the FPL community can as well. So
Every
accepted that's
single
who I
one.
am.
Every single
Every
one of the
single one.
FPL community knows that your room is now blue. Um,
Every single one.
nice, nice. Well, it's good to see you, mate. And yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a I'm going to say I've had a shit week, and this
Mm,
happened to me last season. Every time you could see my progress. It'd be doing quite well, and then I'd play a chip, and it would all go to shit. Same thing's
yeah.
happened this time. So I've fallen from since I played my wild card and the three transfers I've made, which have been panic. I don't think panic decisions, but they've just cost me. I've gone from 140,000 to 450,000.
Wow.
Rita's overtaken me, and I feel less of a man. So that's exciting. But yes, talk me through your week, and then I will give my tales of woe. We should point out we are recording this before the Bournemouth West Ham game. I have one Bournemouth player on the bench. You have you played Clivert?
I've got Clivert to come.
Yeah. Okay.
So pretty mediocre. I'm two below the average. I had Sanchez in goal, so the Brentford goal fucked me. I have eight Nuri, which is bad. I've got Kuna who currently on nine, depending on if and when he gets banned. I think last time, I think from historical, basically, I think once the game today is done, the points are locked in, so he could get like a 20 game ban. It's still 9 points, basically. But nevertheless, you would have thought, given what he did, ripping some of his glasses off their face, he'll be in for a reasonable ban. I
Yeah.
captain Gordon, who got an assist in a 4-0 win. Yeah, would have liked more, but so unfortunately, Jacob Murphy of all people was the winger to bring in. I don't mind Isaac outscoring him, but Jacob fucking Murphy getting the brace is a bit infuriating, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I actually, going back to Cunha, I don't think even if he got the ban before the game week ended, it would affect his points
Okay,
because
fine.
that's not how it like. If he got a yellow card because of it or a red card in the game, then it would affect his points. What happens afterwards doesn't. So yeah, I am worried about him as well, Cunha, but I also don't think the ban will come in for a while. I think he might actually still get a game next week. They won't decide it in that time. If you look how long it took for them to decide on Bentancur's ban, that took a long time. I mean, they said they were going to do something, then it was like a month later before they actually implemented anything. So
Really?
yeah, because remember it was the whole Son video, wasn't it? And he was accused of doing that in July. In September, Son said he spoke to him and they all was good. And then the ban came in, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? So
Yeah, but
it's a long
this
process. And
is
like
okay, but is it the same process for everything? Because obviously that was racism. This is violent conduct. This is something that was a lot more
violent contact's more
live.
important. Violent contact's more important. Let's not
No,
forget
no, no.
that.
I'm just saying. There's a different process. So the Kudus, for example, he got a five
Yeah.
game ban pretty
Yeah.
quickly. Also, I know he was sent up on the pitch, but or did he actually? I think it was maybe 2 weeks into his. Oh, actually,
Yeah,
maybe the extension was a bit longer.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's no consistency as we know because the Premier League have. I mean, these. I don't want to sound like a moaning football fan, but this is what we are. But there is no consistency in how the Premier League enforce these things. That's partly because these every incident is different, right? But I can't see him getting away with less than a five week ban, a 5 game ban.
Yeah, which
Can't
is
see it.
which is actually from an FPL perspective not necessarily in the world depending on when it comes in. It's just that he's got less than next. I think they've got another easy fixture as well.
Yeah.
After well, not anymore. Manchester United no longer the easy fixture. It really is.
We can
It's
we
sort
can
of
go into yeah, we can go into that a little bit. I'll tell you a bit about my game week. So I had Out Nori, obviously got the red card, -2. I also have Andrew Robertson, who also
Nice.
got a red card even. And so I have -5 in my team currently, and I'm tapped out as well. So I'm 38. So that 5 points could have taken me to the average before the games tonight. And I have Ahmad first on my bench.
Oh God,
Absolutely
wow.
locked, not going to come on. I captained Palmer, which was a disappointment. Jackson finally came through for me, but I might sell him anyway. And Gabriel, the 9 pointer, him and Cunha, my top scorers in the team. So there's a couple of returns in there, but I'm really disappointed. And also I had started with Bruggen thinking, Brighton at home to Palace, they've got to get something out of that. Absolutely nothing. But yeah, the Ahmad points, whilst I was screaming and cheering because it was a great
I was
end to
about
the
to say,
game,
yeah.
I was also cursing the FPL gods. They went for Tommy C first. Now they've come for me. It's horrendous. I'm very sad.
Especially as this has basically been the Diallo podcast. We've both been at different points of the season singing his praises, and
What a
I
man.
have him in my draft team, but for some reason haven't brought him in for
That
normal. He's there you go on.
that second goal was world class. It's
Oh, yeah, it was
absolutely
excellent.
world fucking class. It was. I mean, we were watching it with my folks after we had Sunday roast, the sort of thing you normally do on a Sunday afternoon. And my dad doesn't really like football, but even him, he was going mental. He loved it. It was great. Um, yeah, I mean, what a player.
Yeah.
I mean, I found it interesting, and maybe this leaks in quite well too, because I think that talking about this game, I think we need to talk about it, don't we? Really, because I mean, Alan Shearer said a couple of weeks ago, what City are out of the title race. Forest are currently ahead of them, which is mental in my mind. Um, and he's I think he's also the new Man United manager, whose name I'm going to butcher. He is the first manager since Fergie to win his first
I saw
derby.
that.
You know, that is pretty insane. Is it a game changer for Man United? Does it mean anything for FPL assets in terms of Man United? And for City, is it? I mean, if you are sitting on anything, is it sell, sell, sell? I don't know. What do you think?
So let's go back a step. Let's not forget that it had a very dramatic ending, but that game was dreadful.
Yes, it was.
Both teams were very, very poor. The Man City goal was poor, bad defending, lucky deflection. The whole thing was bad. The only person who did anything was obviously Diallo. I
Mm.
think Roy Keane said, well, he's the only one on the pitch doing anything, and that's correct. And he ended up getting a goal and assist via the penalty. But let's not forget that game was bad.
Mm.
This is a team that Spurs have gone there and won 4-0. City have won 1 in 11. Yes, Ahmad is 5 million. He's good. Are Man U back? And would I consider anyone else? No. I
Yeah,
still
no.
think that's fair to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when Bruno went 1-on-1 with the keeper and then chipped it over, I just
Yeah.
thought, my God, this game is average to shit. Like, I mean,
Mm,
it was pretty bad, but I think it's a really good observation. I think also interesting to note that Rashford and Garnacho are left out of the squad completely. Now
mm.
we know Rashford has had his disciplinary issues. Garnacho just comes across as a bit of a bell end. So I mean, I'm not saying they're gone from the squads, and I agree with you. Ahmad is probably the only one I would consider out of that squad. But I mean, we can't say Man United are back because we've had so many of these false dawns before.
Mm.
But I don't know. It felt different. It felt different in so much as what it means for Man United, because now they're going to have a lot more confidence in the team. Yes, their fan base is toxic. Yes, they've got Bournemouth at home over Christmas. I think they'll lose that game. Um, but I think that says more about Bournemouth than Man United, to be honest. But can we hope and depend on Man United assets, or is it just have Ahmad? He's cheap, he's cheerful, and that's it.
It's that.
Okay.
Let's not overcomplicate it. That's it. I mean, you said yourself again that if they lose at home to Bournemouth, the fans will turn immediately again.
Yeah, of course.
It
Yeah,
sort of
it'll
highlights the
be yeah,
series.
yeah, exactly. Someone said, yeah, my sister's partner's going to see. Oh, shout out to Cam. Apparently, this podcast appeared in his top 5 on Spotify. Shout out to
No,
you, mate.
nice.
Fantastic in your racks. It might be embarrassing for you to admit to friends and family, but I've outed you. But he's going to the Bournemouth Man United game, hopefully. Sorry, here anyway. But yeah, so he's gonna go to that, and I think Bournemouth might take you on there, mate. Sorry. Yeah, no, but City as well. I mean, I did say De Bruyne was going to get a goal and an assist. Um, yeah, he got an assist. It was a really fluky one somehow. But yeah, I don't know what to say about City anymore. I mean, we used to lose adjectives to describe how great they are. Are we now losing adjectives to describe the absolute total collapse? Or, I mean, what I can't really describe what's happening.
No, and look, this is the thing. They've got 200 million players, three maybe. Gardevold and Grealish maybe one other than I'm forgetting. Um, they've obviously got Haaland, who's one of the best, who is still probably the best striker in the world. That we don't need to go through the rest of the squad. Either way, they shouldn't be that reliant on one player. What is going on? That I found quite surprising from some of the pundits here. I've been really looking for some analysis from so maybe like a Gary Neville or even a Roy Keane. Roy Keane would be a good one where like Man U were doing really well, champions, and then just went on this bad run, and like trying to understand like okay, is it something behind the scenes? Bernardo
Mm.
Silva saying we played like under 15s. Guardiola saying it's my
Yeah.
fault. Like like what? You're right. There's got to be something going on. You can't have a squad that good and then just one injury makes you into relegation fodder. They have the worst points per game record since November. Southampton,
Wow.
yeah, Southampton. I think it's the first of November. Southampton have more points per game than them.
Yeah.
It's one injury does not. No,
No.
that's just not good enough. So again,
Mm.
I'm not, as we know, we're not professionals. I would actually quite like a pundit who's been in a similar situation, doesn't necessarily have to be in England, to come out and say like, "Hey, this is what could be happening. This is what's probably happening." Because
Yeah.
right now, I think all of them, fair enough, are just laughing and enjoying it. So, but I would
Yeah.
appreciate somebody out there to give some actual insight into what might be going on behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, Joe Hart said Pep looked tired. Obviously, he knows him quite well.
Mm,
But then maybe he's got a bit of an axe to grind for getting axed from the squad. See what I did there?
yeah.
But what I found most troubling about it is after the game, he said, "I can't solve this." In his
Mm,
post-match comments were, "I can't solve this. I don't, not yet. I can't solve it yet. I'm still, trying to figure it out. What is going on?" The De Bruyne circle. I don't know. Kyle Walker, on the other hand,
yeah.
honestly, man. I mean, the Roy
Yeah,
Keane rant about him was
but
funny.
Carl Walker was always going to be a dusted asset once he lost his pace. And was it Werner who went past him? That was it. He might as well just retired then. The second he can't catch somebody up,
Traore went
he,
past him. Adoma Traore went
yeah,
past him a couple weeks ago.
yeah. The second that any player can run past him, his career was going to be over. But yes, the headbutting was quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
I did enjoy Hoyland saying he's recovering well, or the Oscar
No,
goes to.
the
That's what he
Oscar
said.
goes to. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was great chat. He became a Man
yeah.
United legend overnight for that. But no, look, seeing as you've mentioned Southampton, let's talk about that game. I want to talk about Tottenham actually doing well for once. But more importantly, I
Oh,
actually
because
want to
you got
focus
into
on.
my head. I was saying, is Madison a must-have? And you were like, absolutely not. Terrible decision. He most points this week. You've
Who
absolutely ruined me.
who are you going
Madison.
to bring in?
I was going to bring in Madison. I was like, Madison's quite a
Oh,
good
really?
shout
Wait.
there. And you're
Oh,
like, and you got in my head. You were like, no, we're going to lose.
what
This
did he
is
get? 2 goals and
Southampton.
a deflected assist?
Who cares? You got a big haul though.
Yeah, he
Ridiculous.
did. Yeah, yeah, and Son as well. Yeah. Well, look, this is classic Tottenham. I mean, Pedro Porro didn't start. That was funny in itself. So yeah, not really sure what to make of Tottenham still, but I want to talk about Southampton because obviously they let go of their manager, and I want to talk about Wolves as well. So both teams have departed from their managers. Obviously, both panicking, both at the foot of the table. We always talk about new manager bounce, but Cunha potentially getting banned. That's going to be really bad for their team. Obviously, Al Nouri is going to be out for a few weeks as well. My first question is to you, Stephen: can they recover? Can they get out of this?
So I think in terms of panicking, I wouldn't say Southampton was a panic. In fact, why did them so long? Um, I mean,
Yeah, actually, I
it's
have to
one
give
of
a shout
those.
out. I have to give a shout out to James Henshaw, who I watched the game with in the pub, and he said, "How is this man still in their job?" And then a few hours later, he got binned.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're obviously not a brilliant team, and I think they were always going to struggle. But to play like they do, and think that they're going to have any chance. People were saying it's like Vincent Company at Burnley last season. Doesn't
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
care
very
about the
similar.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that's about it. Gary O'Neill, I do think was very hard done by, but again, yeah,
It's the
it's one of those
start.
things.
Do you know what? Do you know what? It's the start. They had a really, really rough start, and it wasn't because of their performances per se. The fixtures absolutely killed them. And then they're
Yeah,
10
but
games in without a win, right? Two draws, and then at the bottom of the table, everyone's talking about it. Pressure builds. The players start to feel the pressure. The players don't place their best level. I mean, they should have been Ipswich. Ipswich were
yeah,
better on the
but you
day
knew
for
the
sure.
start. You knew the start beforehand. They beat Fulham 4-1 recently. Like, I'm
Yeah, but
sorry.
look at their start. Look at their start. Their start was
Yeah, but
rated
they had
by
the
Opta.
start, and then they beat Fulham 4-1. And then for me, it was the loss at home to West Ham, who were all over the place. Sorry, at West Ham Stadium. Sorry.
Yeah.
You then can't lose at home to Ipswich. You just can't. And don't get me wrong. Yes, the pressure was obviously so intense, and obviously bled into the players. The players obviously got very frustrated. Ainori does what he does, and Kuda does what he does. Nevertheless, in terms of new manager bounce, their next fixture is Leicester. After that, I think they have a pretty bad run anyway. I'm pretty happy with how Kuhn has done for me. I brought him in before the Fulham game. He's done pretty well, but he was always going to be somebody to offload anyway. Get one new manager bounce, another haul from Kuna. He gets banned for 5 games, and then you can just move on from Wolves and never think about them ever again. Do I think they'll get relegated overall?
It's
Southampton are
possible, man. I
gone.
don't I don't I don't
Yeah,
see I don't see many teams getting dragged back down there, you know.
yeah. So Southampton. The bottom three is Southampton, Ipswich, and them, right?
Yeah, Palace were
Yeah.
close, but they just smashed Brighton 4
Yeah.
1. So
I mean, you can never rule out Everton, I suppose, going back into the mire. West Ham, I don't think you can rule out. But actually, yeah, Wolves are not. It's not looking good. And we're just looking at who their managers might be as well. There's people like Moyes and Potter on there, which are interesting. But then it's also just Championship managers. So
you're gonna
that's
love
gonna be
this.
very.
You're gonna love this. Guess who was in attendance at the game at the weekend against Ipswich? Former Premier League manager.
Jose
Um,
Mourinho,
no, he's managed two clubs in the Premier League. He's also
has he been
played in the Champions League final.
has he been relegated? I don't know actually. Was
As a manager, yes, not as a player.
I don't know. You tell me.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He was there.
Well,
Immense, wasn't it?
well.
If they hire him, they might get the bounce. But I mean, Cardiff City was like a bit of a fluke, and the Man United didn't do too well. So, like,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, looking at it, so you've got the bottom five, obviously Southampton, Wolves, then Ipswich on 12, Leicester on 14, Everton on 15, Palace on 16, and West Ham on 18. I mean, they are five. Wolves are 5 points off safety.
Yeah, they're in big trouble. They're in big, big trouble.
I don't.
Losing at home to Ipswich
Yeah, that's
is not
huge.
good.
That's huge. That's huge. I actually say that I think if Rude continues his run at Leicester, I don't see
Oh,
them
Leicester, of
going
course,
down.
yeah.
Leicester look good. I mean, they look really good.
Just got drilled 4-0.
Yeah, well, Newcastle, come on, man. I mean, they still got the 2-2 coming back from a 2-0 up, 2-0 down. They got a win the other day as well. West Ham, they beat West Ham. So if they don't need to beat Newcastle, they need to beat the teams around them, and they beat West
Yeah, yeah.
Ham. They got a draw against Crystal Palace. Will they beat an Everton? I think so, maybe. Will they beat Southampton? Probably. So yeah, look, I think I agree with you. Southampton are gone. Wolves are maybe gone. But do you think if a new manager comes in and starts to go on a run, that their players are worth looking at again from an FPL perspective, or is it bin if you have perhaps maybe outside of Cunha until he gets his ban?
Yeah, I think been after their next game, which is Leicester. They then have Man U, Tottenham, Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal. Like even
Oh,
if they brought in the manager of the century, they're going to struggle in those fixtures. The interesting ones are actually, I think, is Palace. Actually, their fixture string is quite generous.
hmm.
Chelsea's fixtures are so good coming up as well.
I
There's
still want to get
one
rid of
other
that
team.
bloody man Jackson. Honestly, fucks me off. So shit.
Newcastle got a bit of a mix. There's one other team who's got quite a nice run coming up as well. I was actually
Yeah,
Southampton of all teams, so I might actually keep Archer, even though he didn't start against Tottenham the other day.
yeah.
Actually, Southampton, to be fair, Southampton, Fulham away, West Ham at home, Palace away, Brentford home, and you're away. You know, if you're really going to go for new manager rounds and going a bit rogue, then I would look at them. Armstrong is not the worst striker in the world.
He had
You
4 chances
know,
he should have buried against us. Absolute, like 2 of them were sitters, and he just absolutely fluffed his lines. I don't know how
if
he managed it.
only if only Russell Martin played Archer, would have gotten a brace and it would have been great. But not to be,
Yeah,
not
not
to
to
be.
be. So I've talked about a few games that I'm interested in. So yeah, the Man United Man City game, the Wolves game, Southampton games, they were interesting. So for you, which game stood out for you and from an FPL perspective?
The M23 derby. Yes, I know it's not actually called that. It's not a derby. It's a rivalry. I know. But nevertheless, found that Brighton have been excellent this season. Palace gone there 3-1. Ismail Assar is someone we've forgotten about. He was
Yeah.
excellent at Watford. He's been here since Watford. It's only Watford and Palace he's played in the Premier League, I think.
Yes. I don't think he's played for anyone
Yeah.
else.
But he's always been a good player. You can even see in teams getting relegated every season. He was a bit of a cut above, big haul there. He's quite interesting. Mitchell got an assist. Um, ah, I quite like Gahey. I think just because he's going to
Yeah.
start every week and he's a threat from corners.
Apart from getting the own goal, of
Um,
course.
apart from getting the own goal, but he's got out of the way now, so it won't happen again. He's already done it.
Yeah.
So I would say that was the one that interested me. That maybe Palace aren't as bad as maybe they can be. They've got Arsenal next, who we are just going to crawl along this season.
Mm.
That Paddy Power joke about Nicholas Jover looking for an open play coach is getting more and more like a 2% around Arteta's neck every week.
Maybe he should just stay
So
humble. Who knows?
yeah, I mean, yeah, that draw is now looking really bad now. I know we're down to 10 men at the last one equalizer from City, but still.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I would say Palace. And actually, Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest won again, came from behind against Villa. I think a few, myself included, were like, okay, they're done now.
Astonishingly as well. It's astonishing. I
Yeah,
watched the highlights and I was like, I mean, as a man that went to uni in Nottingham, I can tell you those people are an incredibly passionate lot. And I imagine the night out after that result, I mean, Jesus, like the West, there's a bar right on the corner, just next to the stadium. That would have been heaving. They always have a live band after the games. That would have been mental. Yeah, I think Forest absolutely well deserved the position. It's not a fluke anymore. Um,
yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like Brighton when they kind of first started to break into that top sort of 6, top 7, and Newcastle as well in recent times. I think they will be maybe not top 4, probably not top 4, but
No,
they could get a chance to get something European, you know, and then they might threaten to play Olympiacos, and then there might be a bit of a difficult one there,
yeah.
given the ownership's the same.
Well, Girona and Man City got away with it, so I'm sure there's a
Yeah,
way
well, it's
around it.
true, true.
But yeah, no, just any of their players. Gibbs White's a brilliant player.
Yeah, fair
Aina
play.
seems to be a rock at the back. Williams is back, who annoyingly has taken Marina's place, who's injured, which annoys me personally, but nevertheless. Um, Elanga, you would like to think he would start more. He's always looking for them, Elanga. Every time I've seen him there, he always look. I don't know why he doesn't start more for them. But yeah, honestly, just have a look. Honestly, I think any of them would be
You're
interesting.
missing their top scorer. Potentially, they're soon to
No,
be top
no,
Nottingham
no,
Forest.
no. I'm not. I'm absolutely not missing him out. I refuse to back down on that one particular player. But all their other players look quite interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just going back to Crystal Palace, and this is an impromptu trivia question. Can you tell me what their most owned player is in FPL without looking it up?
Eze's injured. Uh,
He's third.
uh,
Now, these two
it might be
players,
Gay. Gay actually, maybe.
I'll give you a bit more context.
Oh, is it a goalkeeper? Is it Sam
Yes,
Johnson?
these
Yeah.
two players, right, are separated by 0.1%. Top is Turner with 10.7% because he's a 4.0 keeper. and then Henderson is 10.6.
Nice.
So the two keepers are the top owned players in that club, but and then Eze Gehi. But I found it interesting that Muniz got a price rise and a lot more owners because he obviously scored 2 goals, and now he's suspended to the 26th of December. Such is FPL.
Yeah.
So is it, do you think are you now ready to climb down from your claim of how Crystal Palace is so terrible and we should target them? And is it now invest Crystal Palace or maybe after the Arsenal game?
After the Arsenal game, yeah. I mean, it's fair, but I mean, again, I think other than Arsenal defenders, I think they're not a brilliant asset anything more either. We really just look boring. The Paya Pulis is back in all his glory. So,
Yeah, I do love
um,
how dramatic your fans are. They are
yeah, we are the most
so
reactionary.
unbelievably dramatic. I mean, after the Everton
Yeah,
game, Arteta out was trending. Arteta out was
yeah,
trending. I mean, what ludicrousness do your fans expect? It's the Barclays Premier League. It's a
yeah,
competitive league. Everton are not a slouchy team, and Sean Dyche is a very smart man. Like,
yeah.
you expect him to roll over them? Like,
And if we go and beat Palace next by say 2-3-0, we're going to win the league. So that's
yeah.
just that's how we are.
Oh, God. You need to get a dose of Tottenham fans. And Jay, tell you what it is, right? When we were winning 5-0 at half time against Southampton, I went on the Instagram page to see what the comments were. And the top comment was, we're going to lose 6-5. Like, get that mentality, insert it into your club and get some realism. Just be happy to be there. Um, cool.
Uh,
So I have some news, Stephen. I've done something I've never done before, and that is I made a transfer on a Saturday evening.
wow.
And I took out Out Nori immediately and I bought Robinson back.
Yeah, most transcendent
Lo-
player.
losing him. So I transferred out him and Lewis Hall from my wild card during my wild. I got rid of them. Both of them since then have absolutely banged.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But he's got Southampton next and he's got some nice fixtures afterwards. Robertson isn't flagged to not play next week, which I find odd. Things he got a red card. Maybe it's non-violent contact or something, but he might be on the chopping block or Nicholas Jackson. But man, now Jackson scored and he's got Everton next. I'm not sure. Um, so yeah, but I would look out for Fulham. Fulham look like a proper outfit. I think there's plenty of value there. Raul Jimenez has started to score again ever since I sold him, of course.
Mm.
And yeah, I think there's definitely some value there. But I think Robinson and Raul Jimenez are the top out of all those. Emil Smith-Rowe lost his place, didn't start. I found that interesting.
Is that a
Uh,
rotation though? Was he lost his place to Pereira? I think it's more rotation though.
yeah, but Pereira scored. Pereira scored at Anfield. So will Emil Smith-Rowe become a sort of in-out, like plays 1 or 2 and then
Yeah,
goes out for the third? I don't know. Pereira can also play in a deeper role, and I think more in the attacking, where they want to dominate teams, they probably put Pereira in the deeper role and Emil Smith-Rowe in the 10. But in a sort of more defensive structure, you probably will put Pereira in that 10 role. That's what I would have thought.
okay.
So, talk us. Obviously, we've covered a couple of the games there. Talk us through your moves next week. Are you doing any transfers? Have you done any transfers? Is there any live drama inside that dome of yours that's thinking about
No,
what to do?
I'm gonna stick with my team for now.
Ooh,
So I've got two Arsenal against Palace. I've maybe a defender. So Stones seems to be permanently injured. I've lost Aiton Nuri. Alex Marino is injured. Digny's a wrist. So actually, yeah, let's do one of my famous live transfers.
it's
I
exciting.
will go for somebody a bit rogue, and
Shocking.
I will go for. He's got a nice run coming up. Let's have a look.
Mbemo is back and scoring.
I need a defender. I need a defender, unfortunately. Do you know, I'm just going to go very, very boring. And does Gusto start for Chelsea?
Not all the time.
Who's their fullback? Because obviously James is injured, and then they've got is
Could
it
get
Cucurella?
Marcus Cook. Could get Cucurella and scored.
Oh, do you know what? Just because he's
You have Sanchez.
absolutely
Don't get double Chelsea defense. Come on, man. That's a stupid
oh,
suggestion.
just for the sheer comicalness of having Cucurella in your team, because he is just going to be pure entertain. Oh, he's injured or suspended or something. No, I'm gonna go with Gusto. I like Gusto. I think Gusto's a very good player, and he should play more. Colwell would be the obvious one to go for. He's cheaper and he starts every week, but Malo Gusto, welcome to the team.
I love that. Stephen's logic is he's Kobo is cheaper and starts every week, but I'm going to go with someone else. Nice.
Exactly.
Live logic, and this is the level of
Yeah.
FPL expertise that we're going with.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I think obviously I've made one transfer. I've got one more free transfer to make. It could be Robertson. It could be Jackson. I really want to bank these transfers because you know,
Surely Jackson to Isaac, you have to do that, surely.
yeah, I know, but Jackson's just scored. He's a fucking annoying man, but I want to, and I'm so regretting getting rid of Isaac. But do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to bring in Isaac, and then he's going to stop fucking up as well. Right?
He is made of glass. He is made of glass.
He's made
There's
of
a chance.
glass, but he has got
Uh,
Ipswich next. But look, okay, right. Since I've got rid of him, he's got 11 points, 8 points, 11 points. The man is a troll. Anyway, um, so I missed out on 30 points by not having him. He's then got Ipswich away, Aston Villa at home, Man United away, and Tottenham away. So it's not exactly great fixtures. Um, but then he's got an all right run. So yeah, I think I probably will go to Isaac. I'll think about it in the week. But yeah, so any other rogue thoughts in terms of players to bring in, players that have caught your eye?
I think
It-
obviously I think Chelsea defenders. I think Chelsea in general have been overlooked just because
yeah,
of Cole Palmer. And not the best at the back, but I still think there's value there. So I would look at them. Arsenal defenders again. Just I know it's straightforward, but just go for that. Up front, is there anyone rogue I'm liking the look of up front? Who would be my rogue shout? Do you know who's a nice run coming up?
Enzo
Where
Fernandez.
Enzo Fernandez, yeah, of course, he's very cheap. What a divorce! Ever since he became the most horrible human being in the world, he's scored and assisted in every single game, or scored or assisted in every single game. It's genuinely incredible.
Nice.
Um, what an advertisement! I mean, who says footballers are lovely but bad people, right? There's Exhibit A right there. Um, I'm very drawn to Danny Ings. I just can't explain it. Um, why doesn't Fulkrug start actually? He's another one I think if once
Wasn't he
Locatelli
injured?
gets sacked. No, I think I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't start, but he's one to keep an eye on. Once Locatelli finally gets the job, he's one that's interesting. In fact, the team sheet comes out in 12 minutes, so if Fulkrug starts, I would be looking at him as a rogue
Well,
shout.
I mean, he came on and scored a goal against Leicester. He didn't play at all against Wolves, but he has been injured before. He was injured for a long
Okay,
time. He's only just coming back.
okay, fine.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't think he'll be back for a while, to be honest. Um, yeah, I don't know who else to recommend really. I mean, I'm really wary of Tottenham players because of my own biases, obviously. But you know, you can't really look past the fact that Son's just got a 14 pointer, and then Madison has got 15. They do have Liverpool next at home, then it's Forest away, Wolves at home. Not the greatest fixture. And you know, maybe I would be looking more sort of cheaper, maybe towards Kulusevski. He seems to be ticking along all right. He's going to be more of a sort of single pointer every week, not or maybe one every 2 weeks, maybe, than a massive hauler. So yeah, I'd be looking maybe at those guys if I was looking at Tottenham, but I wouldn't do that at all, to be honest. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't think there's that many straight players to recommend, to be honest, in terms of like there's no one that's really calling out to me at this moment. I don't know. What about you?
No, they're like other than Palmer, just because of the fixture run that he has. I know he didn't score against Brentford, but give the guy a break. He can't do it every week.
Mm,
Madueke is a bit of a starts every week. Is
yeah.
Cole Palmer going to start drawing the players away, and he might get a bit more space, got an assist, I think, at the weekend. So
Mm,
um, yeah, I'd say there Chelsea right now are the bankers really. They've got a very good run, second in the league. They're any one of their players who starts every week is probably a good place to start.
yeah. Did you know how I'd look at Gakpo. Gakpo would be
Well,
my slightly rogue shout. I mean, he got
Jota's back.
69.
Will he? Jota's back. Will he become the false nine again for them?
Yeah, but he got 69 points. He's got an okay run. He's 7.1 million, 2.9% owned. If you and their fixtures are not bad between now and game week 25. They're okay. So I'd say, yeah, Cody Gakpo. That's the one. Rogue. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, but if he keeps his place, sure. But I think with Jota back, that's
Yeah, it's hard.
yeah.
It's hard to
I guess
say.
a good play. But Diaz loses his place instead, maybe. Jota on
But you
Jota on the
could,
left,
but
Salah
you
on the
could
right,
play.
Gap going on the
You,
line.
yeah, Darwin's more likely to lose his place, isn't he?
Yeah,
Maybe Gakpo, Salah, and Jota as a front three. Diaz
not bad.
has been benched a few times. Yeah, so I mean, Liverpool got a scary front three, regardless of who plays. Cool. Okay, so hopefully we're giving you some recommendations amongst the nonsense. And we're going to go to our football heritage of the week. And you may remember the name of our podcast last week was blown away because of Storm Dara, and the number of cancellations across these isles was pretty large, including obviously the Merseyside derby. So I asked the question: how many games were cancelled in the Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, and the Welsh Premier professional leagues? Stephen, did you have an answer to that? A guess?
My guess was 17.
17. So the answer was 25. The majority of which
Wow.
were actually in the Welsh League, of course, as you'd expect. But there were a couple of games that were called off really early, like the Cardiff game. I think they played Blackburn at home or something. They called off really early, and then obviously the Liverpool Everton game as well. So yeah, 25. Well done if you got that at home. Yeah, hopefully we won't see any more cancellations. But it does mean, as Ben Crellin has been teasing us, there might be a tasty double game week in game week 25. So,
Yeah.
Stephen, I hear you've got the question for this week. So why don't you tell our lovely listeners?
Yeah. So my question is, I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, somebody has joined a club that only Alan Shearer was part of, which is he is the top goal scorer for two different Premier League clubs. Alan Shearer was obviously the top goal scorer for Blackburn Rovers and Newcastle. So far, he was the only person to be top goal scorer for two Premier League clubs. Somebody recently is now also the top goal scorer for two Premier League clubs. Now, just to be clear, it's Premier League goals. So if this person's got 100 goals in the Championship and only one in the Premier League, it's just one. But this person has recently taken over, as he is the top Premier League goal scorer for these two football clubs. Do you know who that player is? If you guess the player, you'll be able to probably guess the teams as well, I'd say.
Well, yeah, you'd hope so,
yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either happened last week or a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a bit of a clue as well. This person's obviously probably scored recently.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking
Who is,
about.
along with Alan Shearer, top Premier League goal scorer for two Premier League clubs.
Well, that is an excellent question, Stephen. And it's definitely got my noggin thinking. Cool. So that concludes the end of this pod. Thank you very much for listening. Please do give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Please do keep giving the lovely comments and likes and subscriptions and so forth. It is really, really lovely to see. Keep us in your top 5, Cam. That'd be great. And yeah, look, we'll come back to you next week with another next one. And yeah, in the meantime, have a great fantasy week.
Cool. Thank you.